So one of the things with Common Core is that students need to be finding evidence in the text and doing close readings of sort of slowing down and analyzing what they're reading and picking it apart. And so one of the strategies I use for that is this thing called the Bookmark. It has two sides. On this side, the teacher would make a list of words that they think are important for the students to learn, usually throughout the year. So it might have like punctuation marks, parts of speech, all the literary techniques like simile, metaphor, setting. And then over here on mine, I have some themes that I want the girls to start looking at in the books. And so what they do is, as they're reading, they try to find examples to prove to me that they know what these words mean. So let's look at an example. This student found a simile, a good simile on page 115. So I check it, and I look at page 115, and she has highlighted and written simile, "It felt like a funeral to me." So she is proving to me that she knows what a simile is. And they're also practicing spelling. You know, every time they write that word down, it's making that connection for them. Some of the things they're bookmarking are a lot deeper, like marginalization. My sisters and brothers weren't even making eye contact with us. So the character felt that, you know, she was being marginalized by her own family. And as they're doing these bookmarks on each page, then they're also creating a note that goes on each page, a critical thinking note we call them, where sometimes they're talking to the character or reflecting on how they feel. So she wrote, "I feel like they shouldn't ignore Gabby and Jorge because all of them went through the same thing, so they shouldn't judge." Because her older brothers and sisters also, you know, they got pregnant at a young age. And so I think that what this does, it makes the kids slow down when they're reading, which at first is difficult and frustrating for them, but it is what good readers do. And in the end, they see that all the work is worth it, because if I have them write an essay, now they have all their evidence already picked out. So if the essay at the end is timed writing, what were the most important themes in this book? They can easily pick out a few themes and have their 3 examples and just explain them in their body paragraphs. What were the most important literary techniques in this book? Simile, metaphor, irony, you know, it's all right there for them. And then on the back of the bookmark, this is how we start each unit, with just some things that I want them to get practice on, like writing a bibliography for their book that they're going to start reading, managing their time and deciding, you know, calculating out if the book is 218 pages and you have, you know, 10 weeks to read it, how many pages do you need to read each class? How many minutes is that going to take you? Where in your house, or where do you want to read? Here we make a calendar so they know on each day for the whole unit when I'm checking the book. And then I usually put some anticipation questions, like critical thinking questions, such as famous quotes that connect to the project for them to get thinking about the theme. And then here, I gave them a list of 15 different ways to start their notes, thought starters. So they kept a little tally to make sure that they were using a variety of different ways to start their notes. I can identify with, I can connect with, I can relate to, I doubt that. And then they had to write because for every note. So they were always getting to that higher level thinking of giving evidence. Why did they think the way they thought? So I think overall, the bookmark, it helps them feel really successful. You know, any reader at first who feels a little reluctant, they can start with the easier bookmarks. They can start building their confidence, feeling like they can at least find punctuation marks, parts of speech, some of the easier techniques. And then as they start getting into it, it gives them a purpose for reading. And so then they start trying to want to find the harder bookmarks and the ones that are more implied, like the themes. It's not just going to say marginalization, but they have to really like start thinking about it. And so they can't do this without reading the text. You know, the harder bookmarks, they can't just point to it and label it. They have to synthesize what they've been reading about. So I think it's a technique that works with all kids at all different levels, and and they can really see a lot of growth by the end of the year. So at the beginning of the year, their bookmark might only be, halfway full, and by the end of the year, they feel really proud, that it's 85% or 90% full. And I always tell them too that it really shouldn't be 100% full, because a good reader also knows that, you're not going to find 100% of everything in one book. So it's partly them realizing that, maybe there isn't any of a certain theme in this book. Maybe this book didn't have any hubris in it, or something like that. Yeah. So that's the bookmark.